organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Tonight on Daily Iowan TV Live.
Find out how children suffering from epilepsy could benefit from legalizing cannabis oil in Iowa.
And I'll give you an inside look at how the University of Iowa's hospitals and clinics have been preparing for months for a potential Ebola patient.
And in sports, pregame is back and Iowa football readies for what could be their toughest game of the season.
Thanks for tuning in. You're watching Daily Iowan TV Live. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nick Fisher.
And I'm Greta Miley. One member of the Iowa State Board of Regents resigned. Nicole Carroll made the announcement today, saying her decision comes after her family's recent move out of state. Carroll is an attorney who was appointed to the board in 2011. Her term was supposed to run through 2017.
From incubation rooms to double-layered protective gear, the University of Iowa hospitals and clinics have been preparing for months for potential Ebola patients. Daily Iowan TV's Abby Meyer gives us a look inside at how officials have been prepping.
Even though officials say there is a small chance for a case of Ebola, the University of Iowa hospitals and clinics are getting ahead and staying prepared. For the past few weeks, doctors and nurses have already conducted multiple training sessions to ensure staffers are trained. The hospital has a team of 20 nurses, 30 doctors, and even security, cleaning, and parking staff are trained on how to handle a potential Ebola patient. But the most important step to ensuring safety for all individuals begins with screening.
Our initial efforts were on screening because we felt that the earlier we identify patients who might potentially have Ebola as they encounter our system, the better.
Doctors have created a complete protective suit in case of an Ebola emergency.
The first thing you'll notice is that there is no place where she's not covered.
The suit would include shoe covers, a cooling vest, a protective face shield, and even double-layered gloves secured with tape. On average, it takes nurses 10 minutes to fully suit up and even longer to take off. Throughout each step, they will also have a monitor with a checklist verifying they accomplish every step. If an Ebola patient were to enter the hospital, the procedure would start at the emergency department. Nurses would meet the patient at the ambulance bay and move the patient quickly to an isolated intensive care unit. From there, testing for the Ebola virus then would take place, but officials strongly believe patients would not spread the virus.
But I don't think we can say it enough. No symptoms, no transmission.
Which means the transmission that occurs with Ebola is by people who are very sick. And in the U.S., that means they are already in the hospital.
In Africa, it's not so much because they don't have the same infrastructure and capacity, so a lot of individuals are cared for at home, so the community risk may be different.
But officials say Iowans should have other concerns before a case of Ebola.
The average Iowan needs to be much more concerned about flu, getting their flu shot, about driving safely, using their seat belts, not texting or talking on their cell phones while they're driving.
The Iowa Department of Public Health is confident they know the individuals who have been traveling from the state to West Africa and have been monitoring them daily. Officials say even though it is critical to be prepared for the worst, it's also important to keep a healthy perspective. Reporting from Iowa City, this is Abby Meyer with Daily Iowan TV.
We now have Megan Sanchez standing by to tell us about the use of cannabis oil in Iowa. Megan?
Thanks, Greta. Nearly 3 million people in the United States suffer from epilepsy, a neurological disorder that can cause seizures as a result of irregular electrical brain activity. November is Epilepsy Awareness Month. Iowans have continued to lobby lawmakers in hopes of legalizing the production of cannabis oil in the state. In some cases, the oil has helped decrease seizures in children suffering from epilepsy and other seizure disorders. I sat down with a couple of experts to see where this legislation is headed. Check it out.
Cannabis oil. It's become pretty famous in America the past few years as families of children with seizures fight to legalize its medical use in their states. What's controversial about it is how it's obtained, by extracting the substance from the marijuana plant.
People think of that as a plant product and therefore more natural. But at the same time, there are several plants that we know could be toxic. And we certainly know that the marijuana plant has a psychoactive component to it.
You can't get high off of the oil, but many families have said it can significantly decrease the number of seizures in children. This very use is how the cannabis plant got its claim to fame. This is Charlotte Figge, a 6-year-old Colorado native whose family's desperation to stop her nearly 300 seizures a day led to the creation of Charlotte's Web, a strain of cannabis oil that is now helping 41 other patients to reduce seizures. Charlotte has Dravet syndrome, also known as myoclonic epilepsy. Once told she would never walk or talk, she is now almost completely seizure-free, walking and talking more each day.
Cannabis oil is currently legally processed, packaged, sold, and purchased in 23 states, the most well-known state being Colorado. A handful of Iowa families have actually relocated there just to gain access to the treatment.
And Colorado is where Charlotte's Web was born. It is produced by the Stanley Brothers, one of Colorado's largest marijuana distributors. They run mostly off of sponsors and donations so that they can sell the cannabis oil to patients like Charlotte for almost free. But Dr. Joshi says she's heard that access isn't always easy.
I'm also hearing that it is not easy anymore to get CBD from the Stanley Brothers or from Colorado because the waiting lists are very, very long.
At the end of the 2014 legislative session, Iowa lawmakers passed a bill that allows families of children suffering with seizures to legally possess the cannabis oil in their homes. The issue? It's not legally manufactured here, so in order to obtain it, they have to travel out of state.
Iowans ought not to have to leave their state, leave their families, leave their work, leave their friends to get the medicine they need. We here in Iowa need to figure this out.
Senator Bolcom said he is a firm believer that the legislation in Iowa can be passed, but feels there is a lot of work to do.
We need more research. There hasn't been nearly enough research on the benefits and the possibilities of cannabis.
Senator Bolcom said he was extremely pleased with the conclusion Iowans came to on the first bill on medical marijuana, but he wants to do more.
There are suffering Iowans that need our help, and I hope that the legislature will do the compassionate thing again and in a bipartisan way improve the bill that we passed in the 2014 session.
Now, it's important to note that there have been few published research studies on the oil. Most of the results are based on patient blogs and news stories. Nick, Greta, back to you.
Thanks, Megan. Stay tuned for an exclusive look into one university organization that's dancing around the others.
And we're not too far from mashed potatoes, gravy, and everyone's favorite, turkey. We have the story on how one local turkey farmer is doing.
But you know, Nick, I have absolutely hated the weather this November. I can't take it anymore.
I agree. I can't remember the last time I had to pull out my winter hat and gloves this early on. Tanner, what is going on this November?
Guys, around the country, we are seeing record-shattering snows and temperatures. In New York, just yesterday, the city of Buffalo and surrounding areas was pounded by 5.5 feet of snow. Could soon be up to 8 feet as snow continued to fall throughout the day. Here in Iowa City, the snow hasn't amounted to much, but we have had some of the coldest temps in recent years. And to give you just an idea, here's a look at the 15th to the 19th of November back in 2013. Where, as you can see in the red, the actual temperatures on those days were in the mid-50s and even low 60s. The average temps for these days are in the mid-40s, and as you can see, not any snow on those days either. In fact, the last time we saw highs in the 20s for the middle of November was clear back in 2005. Now we can move into this year and look at the same 5 days, and as you'll see, there is a big drop in temperatures from last year and also a lot of snowflakes to go with it. Highs in the upper 20s and even in the teens, far below the average temperatures. Today wasn't as bad. We had a nice bit of sunshine to warm us up, but will those temps ever climb back up, or are they down here to stay? You'll have to stick with us as later on I'll have a look at your extended forecast all the way up till Thanksgiving. But right now I'll send it back to the desk with Nick and Greta.
There's over 500 student organizations on campus, but with so many choices, students have to decide which one catches their eye the most. Daily Iowan TV's Selena Carr discovered how one student club is working to stand out from the rest.
Jumps, footwork, twirls, all moves that these 4 women practice at a weekly dance class.
What we did tonight was more contemporary dance.
But this small dance class is a part of a much larger organization, the University of Iowa Dance Club.
We all are a community of dancers. They get to express themselves week by week.
This community allows dance captains like Alex Cordes to teach dance styles like jazz, hip-hop, lyrical, and tap to their very own studio-like modeled class with their peers.
The best part is dancing with people you love, and I don't know, that's just something I miss from being in high school and dancing every day and having that dance community.
Dance Club started 5 years ago and hasn't stopped reaching students who have an interest in dancing. President Tara Lauritsen sees the difference since she first joined the club 3 years ago.
So about 5 years ago, it was 50-ish students, and we're at roughly about 200. So we've grown quite a bit.
But what's increasing the club's membership is how they're planning new events on campus and around the state of Iowa. Their hip-hop performance team Diamond Cut was invited to perform in Des Moines last week at the Wells Fargo Arena for an Iowa Wild hockey game. And if it's not performing, they offer master classes taught by graduate students from the dance department. And at the end of the year, they even perform at their own benefit show.
So it's basically to get inner city Chicago kids off the street to dance and get them into dance classes. But for our club, it's to give all of our captains an opportunity to choreograph a dance and perform it on stage.
One setback that does stop students from joining the club is their lack of dance skills.
We don't turn away any dancers. You can have any skill level, any amount of years of experience.
So if you want to join a group that's more than a club, but a community.
The way Dance Club is we're laughing all the time, we're having a good time.
And you're craving to dance on beat.
Literally just show up, and have fun.
Dance Club might just be the way you swing. Selena Carr, Daily Iowan TV.
2 students are currently being treated for gunshot wounds after a shooting happened on the Florida State University campus earlier this morning. A former FSU student opened fire in a university library with around 300 people inside. Myron May was identified as the shooter. He graduated from the university before attending law school in Texas. After firing his weapon, May was confronted by police. He shot at the officers, who then fatally shot him. As of right now, the shooter is the only confirmed death. A third student was shot but has since been released from the hospital. The investigation is ongoing and police have yet to release a motive.
President Barack Obama spoke to the nation tonight. He addressed matters of immigration reform and ordered immigration officers to deport felons, not families. He said, quote, "Mass deportation would be both impossible and contrary to our character. What I am describing is accountability."
One European spacecraft that orbits Mars includes pieces from all over the world, including near Iowa. It's called the Mars Express, and its mission is to find out about more life on Mars, considering it's Earth's closest relative.
Don Gurnett, a professor at the U of I, designed what he calls just another piece of the puzzle. His piece, called Marsis, involves a radar and an antenna that gather data on Mars' upper atmosphere.
It's 130 feet tip to tip. It's low frequencies. And the reason we use low frequencies is to try to search for water under the surface. That was the objective.
The upper atmosphere that the radar measures is electrically charged with ions, like Earth's, giving it the name the ionosphere. This radar was able to gather data when a comet passed by Mars on November 7th, providing some of the first ever data of a comet interacting with a terrestrial planet. That's because comets only pass so near to Mars, or Earth, about every 10 million years. The data suggested that thousands of tiny meteors hit the atmosphere of Mars.
If you're standing on Mars, it would have been quite a spectacular event.
The Mars Express has been in orbit for over 10 years now. However, many don't know much about the mysterious planet Mars. But here is what we do know. 1, there is no water there now, though there was millions of years ago.
We never detected water. We detect a lot of permafrost, which is frozen water.
2, though conditions were once favorable, scientists have not found signs of life.
There are people that think there still may be microbial life living deep in the surface.
And 3, there is very little atmosphere on Mars, making things extremely cold.
When you lose the atmosphere, that's a serious blow. And Mars is very, very cold now and is unlikely to get a lot warmer.
So where do the atmospheric gases and water go, and why? The pieces aboard the Mars Express are searching to help solve this big puzzle. Katie Stites, Daily Iowan TV.
Nick, like a lot of students, I get to go home for break, so hopefully I'll get to avoid all this disgusting weather we've had.
You know, Greta, I'm actually sticking around Iowa City and hoping that New York weather doesn't head our way. Tanner, what can we expect around here?
Earlier on, I showed you just how low the temps have been this past week. Now, how about that weekend weather? Well, tomorrow morning we will start out like we have been, a chilling 15 degrees but clear skies. Fortunately, in the afternoon, the temps are going to climb to the high 20s, and we may even see the low 30s if we're lucky. Sun should stay out there for most of the day. Tomorrow night is looking pretty cloudy, however, and just over 30 degrees. After midnight, we are expecting a chance of showers off and on. So we've been hearing the football game on Saturday is projected to be a wet one. But looking into Saturday, we aren't expecting showers until later on in the evening. The rest of the day is going to be cloudy, though. Sunday is where we're seeing a high chance of rain all throughout. Hopefully the temps stay up there in the mid-40s so that rain doesn't freeze over. We're having a hard enough time getting to class already, am I right? But after a weekend in the 40s, we are expecting to drop back into the 20s come Tuesday. Partly cloudy skies and any precipitation should hold off until after Turkey Day. There you have it, your extended forecast. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Back to Nick and Greta.
Have you ever wondered where those turkeys sitting on your table for Thanksgiving come from? Well, we were curious too, so we sent Austin Love out to talk turkeys with one local farmer.
Oh, Thanksgiving, a time for family, football, and that delicious food. Like most American families on Thanksgiving, I'm sure you have one of these on your table. But do you ever wonder where they came from? One local turkey farmer showed me.
So I am here with turkey farmer Keith Schroyer. Keith, how you doing? How many years have you been had this farm here?
I've had it since '74, but I've lived here all my life. This is my farm I grew up on. So.
Excellent. Well, I've got my blue things over my shoes. You want to go run in and see some turkeys?
You bet.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Holy, look at this. Jeez. So Keith, how many turkeys are in your barn here?
Well, I started out with 5,000, and this flock has done really well for me, so there's just probably 4,900 left here.
At just 9 weeks old, Keith says that his turkeys won't be ready for Thanksgiving dinner, but will most likely partake in one of these. And while it may be tradition to have turkey on Thanksgiving, many locals like dietitian Carol Throckmorton are urging others to look at a healthier vegan option for their dinner.
Virtually everything that we have for our traditional Thanksgiving or Christmas meals can be very easily made vegan. The only thing is the centerpiece, which is the turkey or their ham.
It may not be what we're used to, but Throckmorton encourages others to try something new.
Just because we've always done Thanksgiving dinner this way does not mean we have to keep going forward. Let's make it a healthier meal.
As everyone starts to head home this week, we want to remind you to have safe travels and enjoy time with friends and family. I'm Austin Love, and on behalf of everyone at Daily Iowan TV, have a happy Thanksgiving.
As Thanksgiving fast approaches, so does one other special day, Black Friday. This is that special time of the year filled with rock-bottom prices and crowded stores. However, a few businesses have started the trend of opening up their stores on Thanksgiving Day to increase sales. This means many people will be passing up the turkey for long lines in the cold. But some Iowa City businesses have decided that they will not be giving into this trend.
We've not had anybody request it, or do we have any plans on changing it to being open on Thursday. So we're happy to be here on Friday, and it is one of the busiest days of the year for us.
Business owners are encouraging shoppers to stay inside and spend some time with the family on Thursday. But don't worry, many stores in downtown Iowa City will be having sales for Black Friday.
You know, Nick, as Tanner said, it's supposed to rain this Saturday, and I'm really not excited about that either at all.
I'm really hoping that the rain can hold off and Iowa can pull out the victory this Saturday. We'll now toss it over to the Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio, where Chelsea Brown and Jalen Sochek are standing by.
Thanks, guys. Iowa Hawkeyes are back at home to play the 10th-ranked Wisconsin Badgers this Saturday for their second-to-last conference game.
For the Hawkeyes, every game matters, every game is important. That's what you hear head coach Kirk Ferentz say each week in his press conferences. But with a chance to win out the Western Division, it's easy to say this might be the most important game on Iowa's plate yet. We take a look at the difficulties the Wisconsin Badgers present in this week's By the Numbers.
The Badgers of Wisconsin return to Kinnick Stadium this Saturday. They bring back with them the Heartland Trophy after beating the Hawks a year ago, 28-9.
Iowa's Mark Wiseman's first 100-plus rushing yard game of the season last week against Illinois, quickly overshadowed by Wisconsin's Melvin Gordon. Gordon made his case as a Heisman frontman against the Huskers by not only beating the Wisconsin and Big Ten single-game rushing record, but the entire FBS record, just by the third quarter. Gordon and the Badgers beat out the Huskers 59-24 as he finished the game with 408 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 25 carries, averaging 16.3 yards. The Hawkeye defense confident in their abilities to not let Gordon anywhere near that number.
I mean, it's honestly just dominating our blocks up front and everybody getting to the ball. If we can get to the ball very fast, and we should be able to contain them.
This season, Gordon has amassed over 1,900 yards, a little more than the entire Iowa offense. Wiseman leading the Hawkeye pack at almost 700 yards.
I mean, he's got everything. He's got speed, he's got power. I mean, he can run in between the tackles, and he can break it outside for big runs.
The former Iowa commit, not the only star of the show, the offensive line one of the best in the country, paving the way for Gordon while protecting quarterback Joel Stave. The Badger O-line is allowing the fewest number of sacks in the Big Ten. And the offense presenting their own difficulties, but same story on the other side of the ball, the Wisconsin D topping the conference in pass and rush defense. In the air, the defense allowing the fewest pass yards per game in the Big Ten at just over 147 yards. Iowa, the runner-up in this category, at 176. The rush defense, second to only Penn State, is allowing under 100 yards a game.
They play with great enthusiasm, toughness. They're where they should be all the time, very consistently. Play with good leverage, and they're just tough, aggressive guys. So it's it's a battle of wills. You really have to be detailed with what you're doing.
If Iowa has any hope to regain the Heartland Trophy and to keep a chance to win out the Western Division, the defense will have to force the Badgers to put the ball in the air. The Badgers struggling offensively when it comes to throwing at second to last in the Big Ten, only averaging 142 yards a game.
And Gordon had one of his worst games of his career at Kinnick Stadium last year, with the defense keeping him to under 70 yards.
The Hawkeyes obviously have seen some of these leading players like Gordon from last year, but this series couldn't come any closer.
The Badgers have a one-game advantage in this series, leading it with an overall record of 43-42. It was the year 2004 that the Heartland Trophy was installed, only creating an even closer battle.
Iowa and Wisconsin split the series equally 4-4 since the two teams began playing for the Heartland Trophy. Wisconsin holds a better record with 3 wins against Iowa and Kinnick, but each team has won 2 games in a row before turning over the trophy. Now, I'm not one to jinx the Hawkeyes, Jalen, but according to this pattern of the series, Iowa has the upper hand.
We can only hope on behalf of the Daily Iowan TV that Iowa can even out that overall record between this matchup.
And defensive lineman Carl Davis may not be racking up all the statistics, but he is the backbone, both physically and mentally, that holds up the front 7.
Football reporter Whitney Blakemore took a look into how Davis continues to believe in his team's ability through the ups and downs of the season.
Coming into this season, senior defensive lineman Carl Davis wanted to prove everyone wrong.
We don't feel like we're known nationally. Nobody knows about Iowa, honestly. We got a chip on our shoulder, honestly, just like those guys do. They want to beat us, and we want to beat them. So we just want to prove to everybody that we're a contender, and kind of make our mark this year.
Iowa's defense started out strong, but things didn't turn out as planned. Losing to in-state rival Iowa State, new Big Ten school Maryland, and their most devastating loss so far this season, Minnesota. But even when the Hawkeyes felt defeated, Davis, while down, tried to find a glimmer of hope.
This is my last year, we lost 2 trophy games, that really hurts me being my last year, but we got some good games ahead of us, and it can still be a good year.
While both the Heartland and Heroes trophies are still up for grabs, not even Davis could have predicted that they still could take the West this late in the game.
Oh, it's great right now. We really appreciate this. This opportunity. These don't come around too often in November. To have 3 losses and still be able to compete for a championship. So, we're thrilled to be in it, and I think we'll be ready to go.
After the Badgers' impressive beatdown on Nebraska last week, most oddmakers have Iowa as the 10-point underdog, even with their home field advantage.
All it is just coming to play. We're not worried about what people think. We look forward to this, this great task at hand we have right now, and compete to our best of our ability.
So far this season, Davis has matched his career total of 5.5 tackles for a loss. But how he contributes to the front line can't always be seen on paper.
Louis and Otter hogging all the stats, but no, it's all good. I mean, as long as we winning games, that's all that really matters. And
His passion and drive for success will have to be what Iowa's defense hones in on if they want a chance at stopping Wisconsin's ground game come Saturday. Whitney Blakemore, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Between the 3 starting linemen so far this season, they have 15.5 sacks and 27.5 tackles for loss, totaling to 218 yards. Earlier this week, I also caught up with another senior leading the secondary defensively who is ready to put the brakes on Gordon, John Loudermilk. I'm here with strong safety John Loudermilk, and as a team, you guys bounced back against Illinois. What kind of clicked on the field on Saturday?
I think we were communicating really well, and we were running the ball defensively, and we were leveraging it, and we had good run fits, and I think we were extremely physical out there, and I think it started with a good week of practice, and it really showed up on Saturday.
And then Melvin Gordon, obviously a huge threat on the Wisconsin offense. How do you contain someone who rushed over 400 yards last week?
We got to get off blocks, and he's got a lot of good linemen in front of him, and we got to leverage him, and we all got to run at the ball because he's extremely fast. He likes to cut back a lot, and I think we get 11 hats on the ball, we'll be okay.
And then Wisconsin ranks #1 in the West Division. What would winning this game this weekend mean to you guys?
It would be huge, for the West Division race, and I think for our confidence and a lot of things. We all know it's a big game, and I think we just got to go in there with the mindset it's any other game. We can't get overly excited for it because I think that's when you come out and play sloppy, and we just got to prepare well and practice well this week.
All right, well, best of luck to you this weekend. Thank you. Loudermilk has 3 pass breakups and 2.5 tackles for loss this season.
That'll do it for the pregame edition of the show, but there are other Iowa sports in action. Iowa wrestling continues their action. The Hawks saw a lot of success last weekend, and they try to ride that, hosting their first duels of the season. Zach Mackey has the preview.
The #1 Iowa Hawkeyes swept the Luther Open over the weekend, winning 12 individual titles at the Open on Saturday. The Hawks swept 10 different weight divisions in the elite and also walked away with a pair in the silver. It was Jeva Evans and Bobby Telfer that defended their 2013 Luther Open titles. Corey Clark and Michael Kelly saw some different opponents as they both bumped up in weight class and saw success as they both walked away with tournament titles. It was Clark and Telfer, though, that pinned their way through their brackets. Clark registered 4 falls in a combined 13 minutes and 19 seconds to win the 133-pound title. Telfer just needed 3 minutes and 33 seconds to record 3 pins and win the 285-pound title. The Hawks totaled 30 points in the elite division.
You go to a tournament and you're supposed to win 10 weights and you win them. I think there's some things that are a little bit close there that you don't want to have, but you know what? We dug ourselves out of some holes too. So.
Now the Hawkeyes return to the mat Friday, November 21st, hosting Baker University, Cornell College, and Iowa Central at the Iowa City Duels. Last year, the Hawks only dropped 1 match at the Iowa City Duels. They're hoping history repeats itself.
Winning's fun. That's how you have fun in the sports. You win. So, in Penn State, they went on their little run. They're always talking about how they're just having fun. They're just having fun.
Iowa Hawkeyes hope to perform the sweep this weekend. The following weekend, they will host in-state rival Iowa State on November 29th. Reporting from Carver Hawkeye Arena, Zach Mackey, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
The first of 3 matches is set to start at 9 a.m. tomorrow inside Carver Hawkeye Arena.
The men's basketball team tipped off inside Madison Square Garden tonight for the 2K Classic. Iowa went up against a 10th-ranked Texas team and led 30-24 going into halftime, but wasn't able to maintain that momentum going into the second half, falling 71-57. But head coach Fran McCaffrey knew the Longhorns wouldn't be an easy task.
Incredibly talented team. You can see why they're ranked in the top 10. So they'll have to play better than we've played so far.
Iowa will play the loser of the Syracuse and Cal game tomorrow at 4.
That'll do it for us here in the sports studio. We'll be back after break to catch you up on how Iowa football fared against both Wisconsin and Nebraska.
Be sure to also check out our sports blog at dailyiowansports.com, as we'll be bringing you live updates and post-game recaps from Kinnick Stadium for both of those games.
Happy holidays and have a safe break from the Daily Iowan TV Sports. Nick and Greta, back to you at the desk.
That's all we have for you tonight on Daily Iowan TV Live.
Remember, we will be taking a week break for the holidays. Your next edition of Daily Iowan TV will be airing Sunday, November 30th.
I'm Nick Fisher.
And I'm Greta Miley. Thanks for watching and have a great night.